Okay, gentlemen, before you get comfortable, if I could please ask for the benefit of the photographers that are looking to take some lunch before the next session, if I could ask you to please stand for the photo now, that would be great. And then Diego here can take a photo. That would be fantastic. Perfect. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We're here ready for the annual Technical Managers Press Conference of the MotoGP World Championship in 2020. As we did last year, we've divided this into two, and so today, at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, we focus on the views of Suzuki, Honda and Aprilia. And next time out in Le Mans, we'll hear the views of Yamaha, Ducati and KTM. With us today, it's my pleasure to welcome on stage Team Suzuki Ecstar Technical Manager Ken Kawauchi, HRC Technical Manager Takeo Yokoyama, and Aprilia Racing Track Manager Paolo Bonora. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. We will begin with a few questions from me, and then via Zoom open up to questions from members of the media. And Ken, if it's okay, I will start with yourself.
Okay.
It was quite clear that during the winter testing program, the 2020 Suzuki GSX-RR was very promising in terms of its performance. And on circuit now, after 7 races, it looks to be the best Suzuki of the MotoGP era. So you must be very pleased with how this season has gone so far.
Yeah, thank you. We are satisfied maybe 80% of the performance. And sure, our step is not so huge, but we could improve the bike from last year. And also, SMC, our factory, doing a good job, and also rider improve. Team also doing very good job. So more or less, we are satisfied about our performance.
Manufacturers are always looking to improve, but we know that the engines are frozen going into 2021. So what is being worked on specifically right now to try and continue the growth?
Sorry, say again.
I was just wondering, with the engines being frozen for 2021, what are the specific areas that Suzuki are focusing on to try and continue this improvement?
Okay. Always, our philosophy is the same. Achieve little by little horsepower, but without losing controllability. So we focus on this, especially this year, also next year, we cannot change the spec. So we trying to do many carefully.
Ken, thank you very much indeed. I'm going to move over now to Takeo Yokoyama and HRC. Takeo, after such a successful 2019 campaign, especially with Marc Marquez, this season must have been one of your more difficult years, with injuries, of course, to Marc, to Cal, even last week to Stefan also. Is it therefore tough to analyse the 2020 Honda's strengths and weaknesses because of this?
Yeah, I mean, of course, when you have a group of injured riders, it's so difficult for every aspect. But you know, we still have some good riders. I mean, Alex is a rookie, but he's growing up, and he's giving us a very good feedback. And Carl, even with injury, he's trying a lot, and he's also giving us a good feedback. And Taka, you can see that everybody, he's growing up a lot, and he's fighting for the good position in the championship. So I mean, even without Marc, it's more difficult. It's true, but we are receiving so many feedback, and we are trying our maximum, and we are on the way.
At the recent test that we had in Misano, in between the two rounds there, Takaki tried the 2020 bike, and also it looked like Alex was working with some new items, and as you say, starting to show his speed and ability as a rookie. Where is the main area of focus for you right now in terms of development for the bike, and was the test a success?
The test was really successful for us. I mean, I think you could see that if you compare the Misano 1 result and Misano 2 result, I think we made some step forward, and this was due to the testing in between. And what was this? The area that we are working, actually we are working, I mean, a bit on everything. I mean, next year we cannot change the engine. But yeah, we are working a lot on the chassis side and trying to understand how to use the Michelin tire, especially the rear, where they changed the construction from last year to this year. So I mean, yeah, we are working a lot on every aspect.
Takeo, thank you very much indeed. Finally, I'll come to Aprilia and speak to Paolo Bonora. Paolo, there was a lot of hope and promise regarding the new 2020 Aprilia RSGP, a strong winter testing schedule for you guys as well. But MotoGP has never been more competitive. And results on paper perhaps don't always reflect the progress that a machine has made. So what are your thoughts so far on this 2020 season from Aprilia's viewpoint?
Thanks so much. You are so right on this topic. During the winter test, we have seen a RSGP 2020 that made a big improvement compared to the previous one. Unfortunately, we had a problem initially in the starting of the season with the engine on the reliability. So we asked to the other manufacturer to have the possibility to change the piston spec compare the homologated one, and we thank the other manufacturer for this confirmation. At the moment, we are working so hard on the engine side because we have seen in Sepang and in the first test that we did in the winter that the bike is good for the turning and good in the changing of direction ability. But at the moment, we miss a bit in the engine side. So our key point is to work on the engine, to gain for sure in the horsepower, because the horsepower is never too much for the rider. But we are working also on the rideability of the engine, in the meaning of we are searching to find a better connection in the initial touch of the engine to give the maximum acceleration and the maximum confidence to the rider. At the moment, we didn't see in the track, unfortunately, the improvement that we did on the bike, because for sure, having only one rider, because Bradley Smith is a good test rider, but having Andrea Iannone in the track should have been a different situation for us. So we are suffering a lot because at the moment we have only Aleix Espargaro that is pushing so hard for the bike development, and we are searching to grow up also Bradley to give him the official rider confidence to drive the bike.
And in terms of this year, because obviously there are difficulties with COVID-19, it has affected the calendar, does that therefore mean that you can't maybe focus so much on development during race weekends and that you have to allow Bradley to race as a normal MotoGP rider? Is that also a limitation for you?
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. The COVID-19 made for every manufacturer a big difficulty in the engine development for sure and in bike development. In our case, we are trying to do the test as much as we can during the race, but as you know, during the race it's difficult to make some test without losing the performance in the rider. So at the moment we are focused on the test team, but having Bradley Smith involved during the race is a difficult situation for us, and we are trying to managing as we can during the race with Bradley to do some tests.
Paolo, thank you very much. Gentlemen, that's all from me. I'm going to now pass over to Zoom and open up to questions from members of the media.
Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen. It's Tammy from Sport 5 Israel. I have a question to all three. Each year I ask the riders, how did they divide the success and failures during the season between the rider, the team, and the bike? And I wanted to know how you see that. What's the responsibility in percentage between the rider, the bike, and their crew?
Who is the first?
Okay, I can answer first. I mean, for me, for Honda, always the ratio, let's say, between rider, team, and the bike is equal, because you cannot miss anything. I mean, this year, yeah, it's true that we are missing Marc Marquez, who is a strong champion, but we still have the two very important parameters, and that's what we can still fight for something good.
Okay, yeah. Now you can see the competition is very close and very high. So even one missing, we cannot achieve the good result. It means that rider and the team effort also, of course, developing from our factory, all, of course, equal percentage, and if we lose one, we cannot achieve.
I totally agree with the other manufacturer. So it is the balance between the team, the rider, and the bike is absolutely the same. So we need for sure to improve in each part of this job.
Hi, Matt Oxley from Motorsport Magazine. A quick question for Takeo. Takeo, Crutchlow said that while he was away the last couple of races, he was kind of keeping a very close eye on what you were working on and saw you making useful progress. Can you give us just a little idea of what you were working on, presumably sort of chassis side, electronic side, to make the bike more friendly? Thank you very much.
I think what we are working the most is how to use the maximum potential from the new rear tire construction. Honestly speaking, we are still not 100% using, I don't think we are using the maximum. Because there are some areas that we have to change a lot the bike. The philosophy of the Honda from the traditional like this, and you know, we have to try a lot of things. Actually, a lot more than we expected when they decided to change the tire. And we are trying a lot of things, and I mean, these are the things. Yeah.
Just one extra question. The bikes, the new tire seems to help the bikes that take, let's say, more of a U-corner, U-line through the corner, that sort of with a more medium load on the tire all the way through, whereas the V4s are maybe a bit more aggressive with the tire at certain parts of the corner. Would you agree with that you deflect the tire maybe too much?
Deflect? I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily agree for this comment. But the way to use, including the riding line, maybe need to be changed. Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Lewis Duncan from Autosport. I have a question for Takeo. Obviously, there is no engine development again next year, and the engine this year seems to have caused quite a lot of problems for Honda riders in terms of handling with the bike. Do you think then that the engine freeze will be a benefit for Honda because you can then focus more on the chassis and understanding how to, improve the handling that way with such an aggressive engine? Thank you.
I mean, of course, if we have the freedom to keep developing the engine, this is one more, extra freedom to play with. Not only the horsepower, but also the handling or the rideability and everything. So when engine development is frozen, it's more complicated. It's more difficult to fix the problem if you have some problem on the bike, which we do have. But if somebody asks me if it's a handicap or advantage for Honda, I don't know. I cannot really judge. The reality is that we cannot change the engine, okay, but we still have many things around to to improve their performance. Yeah.
Okay, we don't have any more questions, guys. So that concludes the press conference here today. Thank you all very much for joining us. Have a successful weekend here and a great 2020 season. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.